I'm making this video in response to a video I came across on YouTube last night called "Where Are the Women Martial Art Masters?" It's posted by Freddie's Modern Kung Fu, and in that video Freddie was asking several questions really. Where are the women martial arts masters? He's also asking why women don't learn or practice Wing Chun. And he was also asking, is it really right for people who are not Chinese to practice Chinese martial arts? Can it really still be a Chinese martial art if you've learned it from someone who is not Chinese? And I think these are all important questions to consider, and I feel that they deserve kind of consideration. So I'd like to try and answer them. The one thing I'd like to say is I'm very grateful to Freddie for not just asking these questions but not trying to answer them himself, because he was very clear that he couldn't answer these questions as a man because he is not a woman, he doesn't have a woman's experience, and so he can't really know why it is that women don't practice Wing Chun, which is really a martial art that was developed by a woman for women, and he can't really know why it is that there aren't that many women martial arts masters out there. So I'm very glad that he took that approach, because it's my experience that men tend to assume that they know all these things. I could probably grab a few men who practice martial arts who will assume that they know why women aren't practicing. I've personally had men assume a lot about what I'm doing in martial arts and why, and they tended to judge me quite harshly. They've not really asked me, they've just assumed that they know, and if I try to tell them, they don't listen because they've already decided what my reasons are, and if I try to tell them something different, they think that I'm talking rubbish. So it's really nice for a man to see a man in martial arts saying he can't know what a woman is experiencing or why a woman has trouble with martial arts. The other thing is that, I think that was it really. I'm gonna break this up into several videos because, like I said, it requires quite a lot of. That's actually 3 questions that he's asked there. I don't know about anybody else, but I find that if I see a talky video on YouTube that's much more than about 10 minutes, I kind of think I can't be bothered really. So I'm going to break it up into separate questions, and the one about why, the bigger one about why, where are the women martial arts masters, that's going to take several videos because there are a lot of problems there that I feel like I would like to give proper time to. So I'm going to start with the Wing Chun question. Why do women not practice Wing Chun? It's a martial art that was developed by a woman for women. And, Freddie was saying that, all the Wing Chun teachers you see, they're men. It's totally dominated by men. Why are women not practicing that? Why don't you see that many women in Wing Chun lessons? And I think first of all I'm going to have to say, this is what I was going to say earlier, I can't speak for all women. I am a white woman, clearly. I'm bisexual. I am underclass. I suffer from depression. I've suffered from depression my whole adult life. Never been able to have a proper job because of it, and that was following a childhood of being horrifically abused pretty much throughout my childhood. So I've never, been able to, never found a rich man to marry or anything like that to take me away from it all. So, I can't speak for black women. I can't speak for Asian women. I can't speak for lesbians. I can't speak for transgender women. I can't speak for millennials, because I'm Generation X, and the challenges that millennials, the women in their 20s facing, are different from the challenges that I'm facing. So I think I need to be very clear. I also can't speak for, white middle class women who have a husband and children, and they have different things going on. So I can't speak for all of those. I can only speak from my personal experience and the judgments and the difficulties that I face, because I suffer from depression. I am underclass, never been able to have a proper job, always been on benefits, and I'm bisexual. I think, so those are things that we need to be clear about before I start talking. Now, as far as Wing Chun goes, anyone who's ever looked at my channel will know that my style I love, beyond anything pretty much, is Choi Li Foot. I have looked at Wing Chun, obviously. I've come across some Wing Chun videos on YouTube, and I've watched a few Wing Chun based films and stuff like that, and it's just sort of not for me. It's a very sort of close range style, and it's mostly seems to be these kind of sort of hand movements that and I can see why that was developed for women, but I'm not actually that kind of woman who likes to be close up, or necessarily. I've watched a few Wing Chun films and stuff, and I kind of look at them, and I sort of see the big fight films, big fight scenes and stuff, the end fight scenes and stuff, and I'm sure a lot of it is dramatic effect, but it always seems to me like they are using a lot more blows than I would if I was doing Choi Li Foot. I can see them raining down blows, and it looks really cool. But I just keep thinking, can't I just do a thread punch? You wouldn't. You can just, from my point of view, Choi Li Foot, the strikes are a lot more powerful, so you wouldn't need as many. And I find it quite painful to watch these slow, what seems to me quite slow, painful deaths of people at the end of Wing Chun films. When I feel like with, if you practice Choi Li Foot well, you could do the same job in a few strikes. You wouldn't need to do 30, 40, 50 blows raining down or anything like that. So I'm sort of uncomfortable with it from that point of view. The other thing is that Wing Chun doesn't have that many forms. Choi Li Foot has loads of forms, well over 100. It's hard to really know how many forms there are. I actually recently just made up another one, for various reasons, sort of for my own amusement. There's just so many forms, and I love learning forms. the act of learning forms it's very important for me. It's a very important way of sort of developing. It's very important for my mind to process a lot of stuff. Not just the act of learning. When I learn a form, I'm usually going through something or other, working through some problem. It might be current, it might be something from 10 years ago, something like that. But it usually means that so like the actual learning of forms is a very important thing for me in martial arts, and I don't think Wing Chun can give me much of that, unfortunately. Another thing is that I have to learn on my own. I can't go into lessons, and when you're learning completely on your own, what you can do is limited, really. I can't just practice various techniques on fellow students because I just don't have any. I can't just pull in a neighbour, ask them to do 3-star with me or whatever. It's allow them to get them to hold up a focus mitt for me so I can keep punching them and kicking their focus mitt or something. It's just not something that I can ask people to do, and it's a lot of work. It's very hard work. It's the average person doesn't really want to do that. So it means that I think that Wing Chun it concentrates a lot more on that kind of thing, on sparring and stuff like that, and I can't do that because I just don't have anyone to train with. So that's not very helpful for me either. And another thing is that actually there's no Wing Chun teachers like where I live in Norwich. My nearest Wing Chun teacher, as far as I'm aware, is Master Wong. I'm sure Freddie would understand that I don't particularly want to go to him for any lessons. So, because I sort of had a cursory glance through the videos he does, he doesn't like Master Wong. The Wing Chun teachers aren't necessarily that available. Jolly Foot is a very hard work. It's a very aggressive form. The strikes are very powerful. There's a lot of turning around. So you just punch that way, strike that way, maybe block that way, and then kick that way. And you kind of and there's a lot of jumping around. I sort of spoke to someone last year at a martial arts academic conference. He said he tried to do it, but he found it very hard work, and I just like that. I like all the jumping around. I like all the turning. So it's for me it's probably like the most active form of martial art. So that's a reason I like it so much, and I don't think I would get that with Wing Chun so much. Another thing is that Jolly Foot has lots of weapons, so many weapons. Like it has 58 weapons, as far as 59 now, because the form I recently created was another weapon because I didn't think there were enough. I love weapons so much, but Wing Chun it's only got the staff and butterfly knives. So for me, it's just a bit limited, really. I find, I don't think that I could spend the lifetime learning Wing Chun the way that I feel like Jolly Foot. I will never ever reach the end of it, and that's what I like about it, whereas I feel like Wing Chun's just not got enough going on in it for me. But that's just me, you have to talk to other women, because I'm not like most women, I'm very well built. I have, even as a small child, I was stronger than most boys, and as an adult, I've tended to be stronger than the average male. When I was in lessons, I was clearly stronger than the average male, as a general rule. They found it very hard to, if you're doing joint locks on me, hardly anyone could put me in any kind of pain. So it was, I'm not, and my bones don't ever seem to break. I just seem to be very solid. So I think that I'm not built the same way as most women. So, a thin, slightly built woman would have different experience. They might like Wing Chun better. I don't know. But it doesn't suit. Choi Li Foot is what suits my temperament. It suits my body. It just suits me in so many ways that I really don't feel that Wing Chun would. So that's why I personally don't learn Wing Chun. But you kind of have to ask other women about why they don't learn Wing Chun. And it's not like I would rule out ever trying Wing Chun or anything like that, but from what I've seen of it so far, it's just not quite for me. And I love Choi Li Foot so much. I can't ever see me wanting to learn anything else. So there we go.